Hi Alexey, can you hear me?
Hello, yes.
Okay, so you are live, you have like 10 minutes.
Right.
Go.
So, hello everybody. My name is Alexey Grinko. I'm a senior software engineer from Ukraine, working for American company Crossover for Work, presenting my article today for Romanian audience, for Romanian magazine. Well, Viva Globalization. I have only 10 minutes, so let me begin. I have also an infinite amount of thoughts. So I'll try to talk as fast as I can, being reasonable. Let me share my screen with you. Can you see it? I hope you can. So, my article is called Front-End Architecture, Common Patterns of Classical Inheritance in JavaScript. What is this about? Mainly, it's about pseudo-classical inheritance in JavaScript. I call it pseudo-classical because there is no actually pure classical inheritance there, only prototypal, and everything we can do is try to emulate it. We'll talk about its patterns and their features, because it turns out there are several ways to implement classical inheritance here. Common mistakes of its application are mainly described in the full article. Implementation in ECMAScript 6 and ECMAScript 5, and specifics of both specifications. And we'll briefly analyze 3 examples of code in Babel, which is JavaScript compiler Backbone.js, which is a lightweight MVC framework, and Ember.js. Why exactly classical? There are several other options, kind of functional, pure prototypal, fabric inheritance, or using mixins. Nowadays, the conception of inheritance itself is often being criticized and opposed to a reasonable alternative called composition. You can read about composition over inheritance article in the web, but it's not the topic of our today's discussion, so we assume that you just made an informed decision to use exactly classical inheritance in the language that doesn't support it actually, whatever. So let's see the ways to do it. I guess your next thought is, enough talking, show us the code. And yeah, you are right. Let's go with the example from ECMAScript 6 first. On this slide, you can see the example of this syntax. First, we declare a base class with a static method, a constructor, and some dynamic method. Second, we create derived class, which extends the base one, overrides static method, constructor, and overrides this method. You can see the syntax is pretty similar to other object-oriented languages, like class, extends, super, static, these keywords. And it's pretty nice to use ECMAScript 6 because the code looks nice for developer, but after it is compiled by Babel to ECMAScript 5, it is supported by all the browser as usual. For example, this superclass reference is just replaced by Babel with a direct reference to the base class and its method or constructor. So let's go deeper into the source code of the inherits function. This function is automatically generated and inserted into your code by the Babel. It takes subclass and superclass as arguments and makes inheritance relationships between them. First important thing is this. The prototype property of subclass gets equal to an empty object whose prototype is superclass's prototype. By the way, I assume that you are familiar with basics of JavaScript and prototyping here. But even if you are not, I think this presentation might be useful for you to get the general picture of inheritance in this language. So this is the inheritance itself. Actually, it is prototypal inheritance, but after you wrap it into this inherits function, it begins looking like object-oriented. Don't forget to specify constructor field in order to work properly with instance of operator. And the second important thing is this. It serves for inheriting static fields of the class. Basically what it does is, using set prototype of method, it sets prototype of the subclass constructor, which is a function, to be equal to the superclass itself, to the constructor, which is another function. And this is possible because in JavaScript the functions are objects. So subclass now has access to all the fields of superclass object or function. But did you ever think about the fact that in JavaScript a function can serve as a prototype? I did. So that's all about Babel. Again, if you want to read more details of source code and more description, you can appeal to the full article. Next, we're going to Backbone.js example, and here's how we use it. We can use extend function of Backbone model, view, collection, but if you want, you can also borrow its source code for your custom implementation or inheritance. You can specify constructor, but it is optional. Backbone also can create a default constructor for you. Here's an example of a method which is overridden to JSON. And how do you call superclass reference? My model super contains a reference to the prototype of Backbone model. And actually it's just a convenient shortcut which can be replaced with this code, Backbone model prototype. So there's nothing functional here, just a convenient shortcut. The second argument of the extend function is a hash containing static fields, like this. It's also optional, but really nice to use. Let's go into the source code of the extend function now. It serves mainly the same as Babel, with some differences. First, it checks if you have explicitly defined the constructor, and if you haven't, in else block, it creates this default constructor for you, calling parents constructor in its turn. This is important to know that each constructor is called child. We'll see the impact in the next slide. Second, we extend parent and static, or we extend child constructor with parent and static properties, meaning that we just copy all static fields, references, into the child constructor, unlike Babel, which creates prototypal relations between the child and parent without explicitly copying the fields. Third, we create an empty object, similar as in Babel, and assign it a prototype property. The difference is just that Babel uses native object create method for it, but Backbone uses underscores method. And the fourth, superclass reference, which is just equal to the parent prototype. One thing I'd like to mention about Backbone is a slight cosmetic issue when debugging it. Let's see how the debugging happens in Babel. You create, for example, these three classes. You have explicitly defined all three constructors, unless you are using ECMAScript 6. Then you bind them in inheritance relations, create an instance of the deepest model. But when you expand it, you can see the names of each prototype. You can see model level 3 derives from model level 2, which in turn derives from model level 1. On the other side, in Backbone, you can do the same with fewer lines of code, but the trade-off is that its constructor by default is called child. So when expanding this, you will see child, 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 which is really not convenient when debugging deep chains of inheritance. So let's leave Backbone and skip to Ember.js. Ember.js uses a very heavyweight implementation of extend function. I guess it's about 200 lines of code, so I'm not bringing it here. The one interesting thing about Ember is its realization of the superclass reference. Let's see here. It extends my superclass and it calls in this overridden method the super keyword. How does it do it, and how does the browser understand which method to call without explicitly giving a name? It is not compiled to any other code, so for me, when I first time saw it, it was like, what? If you know what I mean. But the thing is in Ember's specific wrap function, which is called on each method of your class when you call extend function. What it does is first assigns superfunc to this super property, calls your function where you can easily appeal to this super reference, and then reverts it back. So I guess it's all. We are short of time, and we can switch to the summary. In the full article, you can also find some info about the thing I call the most common mistake when doing classical inheritance in JavaScript. And here's a table I've made up to summarize everything about Babel, Backbone, and Ember in 5 aspects, like memory efficiency, performance, and other. From memory efficiency point of view, they all look pretty similar. They are highly optimized and widely used. For other points, they are different. Well, the general baseline here is, if you can, try using ECMAScript 6 and don't bother with inheritance at all. If you can't and you want to use ECMAScript 5, I suggest you to borrow implementation from Babel and extend it with static fields and superclass reference from Backbone.js. You can try to experiment with Ember.js super method, but I don't think it's worth it because it really impacts the performance of your code. So, sorry I couldn't resist using this animation effect. Thank you all for attention. It was really nice to share my thoughts with you, and if we have a minute, we can discuss questions and answers.
Okay, any questions? Joe, want to ask something?
I work with the guy.
That's one. Okay. So Alex. Okay.
No questions?
No.
I'm just curious, in terms of promises, and if I would like to promisify such a function, is it able, is it a standard mechanism to do so?
I'm sorry.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, it's better.
I'm just curious. My first question would be, what do you think about AngularJS and React.js? Because I see that you haven't mentioned them.
I haven't mentioned AngularJS, well, because I didn't face them on real projects. I mentioned only the frameworks I did face. Ember.js, Backbone, I faced Ember and saw some differences in them. Also, if I brought AngularJS into this presentation, it couldn't be 10 minutes.
Okay, I understand. So my question would be, how can I deal with promises in Ember.js? Is there a standard way?
With promises?
Yeah.
Well, yes, it implements them in the Ember data plugin used for Ember. And yes, it uses promises everywhere where you interact with the server side.
Okay.
But I don't think it's related to inheritance.
Yeah, I was just curious because I never worked with those technologies, and I was just curious how it improves with that. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions related with inheritance? Okay. Now, thanks, Alexey, and looking forward to see you in Cluj next time.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day, guys.
Thanks. Bye.